the brand new or newly revealed or updated reveal of the Ubisoft first person shooter XDefiant is now in beta. It's been getting a lot of labels as a COD killer. And we're getting looks in at the gameplay, how it's feeling, how it's moving. It's fresh and new for the public. A lot of again different guns, game modes, and stuff like that got introduced. Some new stuff. So of course we're gonna try and give our spin and take on it as we've experienced it. We've all had a chance to play it, see it, or at least click on it in the closed beta, as it were. So how are we feeling about X Defiant?
A lot of people need to stop falling for this, like this random discourse that comes around every couple of years that something is going to kill COD. Everyone likes to be depressed that they play COD. Like that is just the circle of life in gaming. COD will never die the day it does. I'll put some money on the line because it just doesn't seem possible. But XDefiant, I don't really see the hype. I will say myself, the game feels a little bit clunky. Um, the maps are kind of boring. Ubisoft, high five when
Ubisoft.
That's crazy.
like I don't. It's fun, but it's nothing new. I don't get how it kills COD. I really didn't understand that part of the arguments that people were trying to put across. It's like I'm seeing all these people on Twitter like setting their DPI to like 16,000 and just turning the mouse into a yo-yo. Fucking, like I'm just like confused. Like, is this? If you wanted to play this, you could have played any other game and done the same thing. This isn't movement. This is nothing new. The game literally brings nothing new.
Yeah.
And it's like they're talking about movement, and it's like you literally let games like Titanfall die. I'm getting mad just looking at this conversation.
That's a sensitive one still. I was about to say, go ahead, Win. What was you saying?
No, I think King took the words right out of my mouth. Ubisoft, like that was like the first big red flag for me. I was like, oh, a Ubisoft live action game that they're gonna support. Oh man, this is gonna go great. I don't. I've played X Defiant. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm very much not impressed. When people were saying this was a movement shooter, I thought I downloaded the wrong game. I was very much
Literally.
confused because it is very much Call of Duty style movement. Like it's lit, and I'm not gonna lie to you. When I think movement style shooter, Call of Duty is not the first thing that comes to mind. Exactly like Kxng said, I would put Apex over Call of Duty when it comes to movement shooters. If we're gonna nitpick and actually say like it is what it is. I'm not impressed. The coolest part about the whole thing was the fact that some of the factions are a part of Ubisoft franchises. That is literally the only saving grace for this franchise for this title is that I was like, oh, this is like the Far Cry 6 franchise. Oh, and they got the voice actor to be in here. This is kind of cool. Like I thought that was cool. All of the abilities that I played with were very much kind of like whatever. It felt like Black Ops 4 where like you got some game changing ability, but not even because some of the Black Ops 4 abilities were way more game changing. Like it just felt very whatever. The gunplay was okay at best. The TTK I think was pretty solid, but I felt like there were certain guns that were extremely broken. And of course, it's a beta; they can fix it with balancing and whatnot. But a lot of the guns are pretty broken. There were characters that were used way more often than other characters because let's face it, some of their abilities sucked. I don't know what's gonna be free and what's not gonna be free, and that's a major part of where my like hesitance is because if you're telling me like getting full on factions is gonna be behind a paywall, then man, you think I'm gonna pay for this game? I'm definitely not. I got access to it, and if I didn't, I don't think that I would have been too upset about it. I played it so that I could get a feel for it and really be able to tell y'all. But honestly, for like I want to say I played like 2, 3 hours of it. It's just not that fun for me. And oh my god, if you get any kind of lag in this game, it's damn near unplayable. I'm getting shot from behind a wall, and I don't mean like you just turned the corner. I mean like I'm around the corner at the first door and I'm dead. I don't understand what was going on in some of the lobbies I was in. My internet is not whack neither. Like it's pretty good. It's it's just it seems like it has potential. It's not terrible, but like exactly like King said, we're never getting rid of Call of Duty. Like there is no Call of Duty killer because Call of Duty will never leave this space unless a lot of people just stop playing video games altogether. But that game Oh, the only way you could stop Call of Duty is if they shut down Activision. If the
Yeah.
whole company got shut down,
I was about to say you're giving the world too much credit. There's only one person that can stop Call of Duty. That's Call of Duty.
Yeah, like,
and
if
the only
Activision
people that
was
can
like,
shut them down.
we're
is
done.
Dead ass.
Yeah.
Dead
So
ass.
I just feel like another thing I want to talk about is how this game was originally marketed as Tom Clancy's XDefiant, and they've
It
actually
was.
distanced itself heavily from Tom Clancy in general. Just because I was saying this in a chat earlier today, I was like, you can't really sell Tom Clancy anymore.
No.
They are the only ones that you can actually blame for
Yes.
that. Like they
ran into the ground.
Like they've burned Tom Clancy into the ground.
How many bullshit titles they dropped, like Wildlands and all that stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? Like they fell off a cliff with actual momentum from any Tom Clancy joint.
So it's not, now they're just holding on to this XDefiant, and I feel like once they realized they had to strip it from Tom Clancy, the idea wasn't solidified on what it is that XDefiant's identity was going to be in the FPS space, and that will probably be the driving issue for them going forward.
I agree. See, again, this is the part where I'll be at least a slightly most positive person out the group. I came in expecting nothing. I expected it to be very terrible because I've seen previous iterations of what XDefiant was, and I thought it was ass. I thought it was not good whatsoever. I thought it was clunky. I thought it was just not in a fitting shape whatsoever. I thought the pace.
Six deathmatch.
Yeah, jeez, bro. I just thought the pace was completely out of whack for how tight of a arena type. Not really. It was not really an arena shooter, but you know what I'm saying. How tight of a game it was looking to be. But this test, I feel like not really it slightly did impress me because of the previous, I guess, conception I had of the game. I felt like the gameplay felt a lot faster. The gunplay was a lot tighter than what I expected. Again, just some of the classes setups, again, seemed pretty straightforward. It felt like Black Ops Cold War. It felt like Cold War to me a little bit, and it's not as smooth. It still felt a little bit clunky. I agree with King on that point. It felt clunky, but just the level of just the UI, some of the attachments, how they were laid out, and some of the gunplay just felt pretty Cold War-ish to me. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just you got to start somewhere type of thing. And again, with Ubisoft not really having the biggest pedigree in multiplayer shooters like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess in this style, more like the COD lane, I think there's a good basis there, but I'm not the most intrigued by it. Again, by free to play. In actual execution, what is it going to look like? What's going to be, on tap? What's the content? How's it going to come out every week to keep it fresh? That's my main concern. Like, I think gameplay can be, honed and tweaked and, all that stuff. Let the movement guys do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Let them complain about that game because they'll probably get over it. They'll get over the movement in that game and get annoyed and go right back to COD or something like that in like a matter of weeks. It is what it is. But for the core of the game, how do you keep it fun? How do you keep it engaging for the people that are going to stick around? And that comes in the maps, that comes in the guns, that comes in, again, the factions and the sets and things that you bring in. If you can provide that level of consistency, then you might have something about you. Again, I think, and no matter what you think about how the game, if it plays, if it's consistent, I think it'll have a good lifespan. It'll actually amount to something that it'll amount something more than what people are expecting it to be, in my opinion. If you look at Warframe as base, it is a solid game, but the consistency of updates that they've had over the years have made it a cult classic in a sense, where it's like people will always play that game because there's always something to do. There's always something to grab. There's always something to get to, even if you've done everything. There's something new there that's constantly being generated. Again, there's two different genres, but still the concept still remains. Consistency in content is paramount to success, especially for free-to-play games where we're going to already unlock everything off rip like in 3 days. You need to have that about you. But speaking for the rest of the game, though, like, I mean, again, my impressions, I played a few hours of it. I actually liked it. I actually did like it. I think there's a good potential in it, but now it's making those little tweaks, bringing it out, and making it consistent. Because if you're going to be a free-to-play game, you're going to be up against it with the best. Apexes, the Valorants, all that stuff. What are you going to do to stand out? And that goes back to that identity thing that King was talking about. What are you going to do to really make it stand out? Of course, you got the factions, you got the, the Assassin's Creed, no, not the Assassin's Creed, but just the general Ubisoft, IP, factions and stuff. how you gonna keep doing that to differentiate? Because people will play your stuff till they're purple, and then once they're done with it, they're done with it. So how you gonna do it to keep expanding that and keep differentiating XDefiant in that space? So I think that's gonna be the toughest thing for them to really get over. But
Bro, this gonna be crazy. You got Counter-Strike 2, you've got
Counter-Strike 2 coming
Valorant's
back.
premiere mode
Damn.
dropping this month.
Damn, I forgot. Like it's a lot. It's an uphill battle, bro. And people want to call the COD kill out the gate. No, it's not the case. You got to figure out how to be.
Everyone is just gonna run back to the regular shooters and just
Facts.
see like, okay,
I'm about
the
to
guys,
say,
good job on the beta. You guys are getting hyperscaped.
hey yo, and that's crazy, and it's a very likely thing that could happen. You could very well be another hyperscape. You got to figure out what makes XDefiant and home in on that as much as possible. Do it fast, because you could one wrong update, you could be hyperscape, you could be gone just like that. That's how strenuous these margins are. That's how tight these margins are for free to play games, especially shooter games in this space today. Because people could just hop on the thing that's too big to fail at this point. They could hop on an Apex, they could hop on a Call of Duty, they could hop on a Warzone, hop on whatever game, and they're just fine. Do you have the biggest, I guess, burden of proof in gaming if you're a shooter that's especially free to play? I think we have one of the biggest burdens of proof in general out of any genre. So, you got to make something of it. So, in my opinion, not bad, but a lot of stuff to build on, tighten up before you can be seen as a viable option that people will stick around for in the gaming space.
I also find it so funny that we never mentioned Overwatch.
Huh?
Because Overwatch is like not even. If motherfuckers looked at Overwatch and said, "Oh yeah, XDefiant is gonna cook this,"
they
not.
Some wires have been crossed in your brain if that's the case. I don't know how you get to that. Overwatch is its own. Overwatch in its own separate gulag that's slightly elevated, but it's still a gulag. You know what I'm saying? Like we just leave them to their own devices. Me personally, that's what I do.
Overwatch is a perfect example of a game killing itself. The only people that were able to take Overwatch down was Overwatch, and they did. And now they're back. And like that's the only way COD would do it. But even we've seen bad COD games to this day, and we will see more, and it will not matter. Like they are damn near bulletproof.
Facts. And it only takes XDefiant to be bad once to never be seen again. You don't have no credit in the bank, so it's tough. It's tough. But yeah, I wish you the best of luck still. We'll figure it out.